This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And coming up at the bottom of the hour, as always on Tuesdays, we'll talk live with former Congressman Peter King. Also at the bottom of the hour, I will tell you about my day. I finally made it to the dermatologist today, and I got a steroid shot to the face. But I also have, and I'm holding up right now, I'm sure our social media team will pick this up. I have my lollipop. I'm not joking. I did not leave the dermatologist's office after getting that steroid shot in my face without my lollipop. Now, you can call me one of the kids all you want to. It was funny because it was the doctor in the room, the nurse, my wife, Marilyn. So 3 women against 1 man. And they said, oh, the poor baby, do you want a lollipop? And I said, yep, I want my lollipop. So I have my lollipop right now, and it calmed me down. We have a lot to get to before we get to Congressman Peter King in terms of the situation as it relates to Iran, right? So President Trump announces the deal, right? The good news. But the bad news is that this is a very complicated process, and there are always going to be competing interests. So the biggest U.S. ally in all of this happens to be Israel, but President Trump is publicly rebuking Israel over its war against Hezbollah, saying Israel fighting Hezbollah too long, has been going on too long, and too many people are being killed. We'll get to that momentarily. Guess who was on The View today? And I think it was a wonderful move for him to do so. Vice President J.D. Vance. Oh, the ladies of The View, they've got so much mouth. They're so bold. But with J.D. Vance, the vice president, sitting right there, they tried, but they didn't get out of line. They weren't as bold as they always are. What's up, Whoopi and Sonny Halston and you ladies of The View? Did a cat get your tongue? And all of a sudden, with a Trump administration official there, you don't have as much to say? The vice president giving as good as he got. Of course, Whoopi going racial. We'll get to that momentarily. And so there is a lot going on at this hour. And as we mentioned the last couple of days, and we see your telephone number, your telephone calls coming in. Pretty boy Gavin Newsom says the Trump administration is investigating him. And if you believe that, I got a cheap bridge to sell you, because what he's really trying to do is stand out amongst the crowded field of Democrat names that want to run for president. A CNN commentator confirming that that's exactly what pretty boy Gavin Newsom is doing. After all, he wants to do for America what he did for California. No thank you. We'll pass. Dominic Carter here with you, 800-848-9222. First of all, President Trump condemning Israel.
Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long, and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it. And I didn't like Syria. I didn't like where 2 hours before we're signing the agreement that there was an attack in Lebanon, in Beirut. It wasn't like in the southern side, and it was in Beirut. I did not like that. I let them know that. I didn't like it, not at all. But I think that Syria, he's pulled that country together amazingly quickly. He's very capable, and he's been very good for me. He's protected everything that I've asked for. He's done. And if Israel can't do the job without killing everyone else, he'll do the job. Syria will do the job.
So for right now, and again, a lot of competing interests in this. For right now, President Trump not happy with Israel. But again, keep in mind, Israel, one of our biggest allies in the country, in the world, and certainly in that region. 800-848-9222. So I told you folks, the UFC fight on the south lawn of the White House, mixed emotion. I'm not sure about it, right? But it's been a lot in terms of much ado about nothing. The fighter that won his fight and said that former First Lady Michelle Obama is a man. And it seems like that's the biggest headline that's come out of that event. Now, is it something that I wish he didn't say? Of course. Was the venue where it was said inappropriate? Of course. Is the former First Lady a man? I mean, to be honest with you folks, I can't believe we're even having this conversation. Because as I said to a good friend just the other day, if to play along with this, if she were a man, you don't think her GYN records would have leaked out a long time ago from her gynecological doctor? Saying something is rotten in Denmark here. I mean, so now, is she an angry sister all the time? Absolutely. But a man, I just think that's a bit much. So Rosie O'Donnell, of course, Trump critic #1, talking to TMZ.
Well, it's disgraceful and embarrassing, and he should be ashamed of himself for doing it.
Did you hear about the fighter who called Michelle Obama a man?
Yes, and that's exactly what Trump is, and that's exactly what his fans are. Racist, homophobic, un-American.
Can you give advice to parents who are dealing with children who might be in a similar situation to your daughter?
Just do your best and love them.
And so there you have it, Rosie O'Donnell. I don't know why she hates Trump so much. I mean, I guess because in that first debate many years ago, when he was asked about his criticism of her. But I want you to also listen to this, and then I'm going to start with your telephone calls. But you know what? You know what, folks? Maybe I'll hold on the CNN sound because we see all of your calls, 800-848-9222. So I went and I got my steroid shot in the face. And next week I'm seeing a plastic surgeon because we're dealing with my face. So there's progress. Susan last night that called in. Susan, you got through to me. Susan sent me an email. Susan called. She says, Dominic, you got to take this seriously. So I hear you, Susan. I hear you. Let's start with you, folks. Your telephone calls. Let's begin with Mike in Virginia. Mike, line 1. What's on your mind, Mike?
Hey, good afternoon, Dominic. I figured I'd give you a call. I've been listening for years, but there's certain callers that call your station, and you said, meet Mr. Click. That guy from White.
Right, but I can't. I can't refer to when they call other shows on the network. I can only react to when they call me. But go ahead.
He's taking shots at me and others. He even
when you say he, wait. He who?
Rusty boy from White Plains.
Okay, all right.
That nut job, yes. He should be off the air because he's taken numerous shots at people. And you said, hey, 6 months, and I've heard him, say this and that. He's out of his mind. Like I said on the radio, he belongs in a straitjacket, real tight. That's where he belongs. And he's a psycho. Yeah, Dominic, keep doing what you're doing. I always get to my point, but thanks for pointing out.
Thank you, Mike. I got to tell you, whenever I hear the term straitjacket, I just get nervous because I remember reading my mother's psychiatric records in which she was in a straitjacket for real numerous times. So it's as real gets when the term straitjacket is mentioned. And in fact, one vulnerability that I have, to be straight with you folks, is I've always wondered with my mother's mental illness, serious mental illness, would it impact me? And sometimes when I have a dress shirt on, I kid you folks not, and I can't get it off fast enough, I get into a panic. Or a shirt that you put over your head, and I just, for some reason, it gets stuck, and I just go into a panic because I think about straitjackets and what that must have felt like for my mother, literally in a padded room, forced to sit in a corner somewhere in a straitjacket, the reality of that. But as far as Russ, I do want to say this. Folks, listen, I take everyone's telephone calls. You know this, right? I'm sick of the nuts. I'm not dealing with nuts anymore. And as far as Russ is a good guy when I met him personally, one-on-one. But I don't really like his politics. The fact that I don't like his politics, okay, no problem. But every time that he calls, the poison is always oozing from his mouth. And I've just decided to take a break from this. So you haven't heard him on the 3 p.m. show or the midnight show. And I'm going to be straight with you folks. Sometimes we'll take calls that we know are from the opposite end simply because it's good ratings. But right now, I'm beyond that. The poison, the anti-Semitism just oozes off his lips. And I'm done with that. I really am. I really am done with that. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey, line 3. Sandra, what's on your mind?
Oh, good afternoon, Dominic. Good afternoon, Dominic. I think about that event the other night, the 250 Freedom, and my first reaction was, Donald Trump, he's too exposed over there. That was my reaction, but I said, okay, I'm sure everything will be fine. So as it turns out, all these thugs, I'm going to call them, they're kids, but they're thugs. They're learning from this ideology called accelerationism, and that means an extreme belief that society should be pushed into chaos and collapse so that a completely new system can emerge. That's what these people are doing. And then people are saying, oh, they're just kids. Think about what that kid did to Charlie Kirk. Think about that kid that was on the roof in Butler. These kids we need to reach out to the kids. That's my point, Dominic. We are losing the kids. They're learning to think the wrong way. And as a result, they want to cause chaos. And I never dreamed that you can go to an event like that other night, and now I have to look up in the sky, too. It's bad alone. We have to worry about guns. Now I have to look up in the sky, and maybe something is going to shoot down from a drone. Is that how it works? So I'm very,
well, Sandra, and nowadays drones are as much part of the attack as anything else. So yes, you do have to look up in the sky sometimes. Hey, I've got to toss to a break, but what do you make of this? Where the fighter referred to the former first lady as a man?
I'm going to tell you something, Dominic. I get texts from friends very often that tell me that. And I go, no, don't be ridiculous. But I hear it often, so I don't know. You never know. I mean, did you ever see her pregnant? I never did. Usually that's a proud time to show things. I mean, as a matter of fact, this is kind of funny, Dominic. I was outside the other day, and a young girl was pregnant, very much so, and she exposed her whole stomach. Now, that's something I'm not used to seeing either.
I'm sorry, Sandra. That's what the ghetto girls do these days. But maybe it's not just a ghetto thing. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just think it's highly inappropriate. Sandra, thank you for the great call. I want to hear from you folks on this Michelle Obama thing. I mean, because in my mind, of course she's a woman. Is she an angry black woman? Absolutely. She is the definition of an angry black woman. But is she a man? Cut it out. Time for a break. We're coming right back.
33 days, 33 episodes. Join me, Max Rushton, and our expert team of soccer journalists every day of the World Cup for analysis, drama, and everything in between. World Cup Daily, listen on Spotify now, or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
I wrote a little song to remind you. Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And coming up in about 10 minutes, we will chat live with former Congressman Peter King. I'm thinking about The View and the vice president appearing on it today, J.D. Vance. Donna Marie in Philly says, at Dominic TV, I normally do not advise anyone to watch The View, but Whoopi and company did not fare very well with J.D. Vance today. It was precious. It's interesting, Donna Marie in Philly. They have all that mouth. Oh, motor mouth. They have all that mouth. With J.D. Vance sitting right there, all of a sudden, all that mouth, all that energy was gone as he sat there and broke down, dissected every single claim that they threw at him. The vice president was ready, prepared, locked and loaded, and handled and presented himself very well, representing the president of the United States. Coming up during the segment with former Congressman Peter King, we'll let you hear part of what Whoopi and company had to say. Brian in Brooklyn, line 5. Brian, what's on your mind?
Hi, Dominic. The bigger issue is how come the president hasn't denounced the words that the fighter made? And this is the second time.
So wait, whoa. So you really believe that that's the bigger issue, as you just said? Do you really believe that?
Yeah, it's an issue because people think that Trump is a racist.
Okay, so you wanted President Trump to do what?
To denounce it, say, hey, that is not true. He doesn't believe it's true, and it is absurd to even think something like that.
Okay, well, a lot of people think that, Brian. I disagree with that. First of all, it's not that important to me because I think it's a ridiculous argument. I mean, the woman has 2 daughters. Former first lady. If that were true, I guarantee you we would know by now of something like that. But so you're saying that that's the bigger issue. So if I'm Trump, Brian, what I'm thinking about is what about what they did to my wife? What about the fact that the FBI came into my home and raided my wife's personal affairs, her panties, her lingerie, and the FBI went through all of this, the former First Lady of the United States. And you're telling me what someone said about Michelle Obama is a bigger issue?
Well, I wasn't trying to compare the issues. I'm just saying, and this weekend, that came up, and I was discussing that the fact that the president hasn't yet to denounce it.
Well, but he can't denounce everything, right? I mean, would I like him to denounce it? Yes, but I'm sure he felt that by focusing on it, it makes it a bigger issue. Brian, I hear you. Thank you for the telephone call. It is time for a break. When we come back, former Congressman Peter King joining us live.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And joining us right now, as always, one of the segments I greatly look forward to is former Congressman Peter King. Congressman, how are you and your family?
Dominic, I'm doing great. Rosemary's doing good. Everyone's doing fine. I have nothing to complain about. And on your show today, so I'm the happiest guy in the world.
Well, thank you, Congressman. So, Congressman, I want to ask your opinion of this right before we get back to the telephone calls. Am I a big baby? I'm holding up right now my lollipop that the dermatologist gave me. And I took my lollipop with pride, right? So in 48 hours, I'm 62 years old, the same day of the Knicks parade. But so I got the callers are telling me I got to take this bump on my face seriously. And last night it was Susan from Corning, New York. And then she sent me an email. And for some reason, she just resonated. So my wife got me an emergency appointment with her dermatologist. The dermatologist gave me a steroid shot. They swabbed this. I got to go get a test to find out exactly what it is. And then I have to see a plastic surgeon from Columbia next week. But I left with pride because they outnumber us, right, Congressman, women sometimes. So it was 3 against 1 in the medical room. The doctor, the nurse, and Marilyn, and they're all making fun of me because I wanted my lollipop, which I'm holding up right now. And for me, Congressman King, I'll get to the politics in a second. The easiest things in life, when you have schedules like myself and people like you, the easiest things in life become the hardest. So am I a big baby because I'm holding up my lollipop?
Actually, I'm proud of you. I think that's what all good men should do, is carry their lollipop. I mean, that is the WABC spirit. I'm sure Ted Rosenberg would love to hear that, and all the other people at ABC. No, listen, I don't care who you are. At least in my case, I'm never happy about going to a doctor. I've been lucky. I've had good doctors. But when you go in there, you never know what's going to happen. And my grandmother, my Irish grandmother, used to say, never go to the doctor because they're not going to let up until they find something wrong with you. So it's like, you're fine if you go to the doctor. That was the old superstition among a lot of Irish people I had growing up. That's just, if you want to stay healthy, stay away from the doctor. They're going to find stuff that's wrong with you, even though it's not really wrong. So
it's interesting that you say that, Congressman. I recall a few years ago, I go to my endocrinologist, right? And I'm thinking the appointment is over, and he's putting on gloves, and I'm like, what is he putting on gloves for? And then he goes, this is not the best part of the exam, but pants down and bend over. I said, what? Pants down and bend over. I said, no, doctor, we'll do this another time. And he said, no, we're going to do it right now. And when he did it, I felt so violated. So maybe you're right about doctors. I mean, I don't know, Congressman. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to leave. Go ahead.
It's actually, all kidding aside, I have a family doctor and his brother. They're both doctors. One is a general practitioner. The other does, what do you call it? Gastroenterologist. And so anyway, I had some asthma troubles. Anyway, he gives me a routine test 5 years ago. Everything was fine. He goes, okay, you'll come back for one more now. We'll see. He goes in there. He says, everything they were looking for is fine, but unexpectedly, they found a tumor. And it never would have been found. I had no symptoms, no signs of anything. There was no reason to think it was there, but it was. And sure enough, they had tested out. It was malignant. I had an operation. Everything was gone. I'm in great shape. So if I hadn't gone in for a very routine exam where nobody expected to find anything, you may have just somebody else on your show this afternoon. So here I am. So in perfect health.
Well, you're a healthy guy, and we're so thankful for you, Congressman. Let's get to the politics now, the serious stuff. The deal with Iran, is it worth the paper it's printed on?
I honestly don't know. From what we've heard, I have real questions about it, but we haven't heard everything. But if we are basically ending our blockade, if we're not going to carry out military attacks, and in return for that, we get the Strait of Hormuz opened up, well, that's where we were back on February 28th when we started this. Obviously, there's been a lot of military damage done, but Iran has shown us that by being able to shut down the straits, they can overcome that. And there's nothing to stop them from shutting down the straits in the future. Now, having said that, I don't know what else is in there. Now, the president has said that Iran will not be allowed to get a nuclear weapon. Are there ways to check that out? Are there ways to inspect that? Are we just relying on Iran's word? And if they are agreeing to inspections, what's the ground rules on those inspections? So this is, again, it's a long way to go, and I have faith in the administration that they're going to have really severe ground rules in there. But until that's announced, until that's explained, we don't know. So based on what we know right now, what's out there now, I would say no, it is not a good deal. But, again, there's a lot that is not known, and when all that comes out, I'm hoping that it's a lot better and that we come out ahead.
Well, I think this president deserves enormous credit for even taking on this battle. He could have did what other presidents have done and simply punted. In terms of President Trump, he's criticizing Israel over its war against Hezbollah, saying Israel fighting Hezbollah has been going on too long and too many people have been killed. Your reaction, Congressman King?
I totally disagree with the president. The war has been going on too long because Hezbollah has kept up the attacks. There's no way that Israel can be blamed for the attacks on them by Hezbollah. These are unprovoked. These are desperate attacks by Hezbollah. They've been going on for years, and Israel has no choice but to defend itself. I mean, to me, if Mexico was firing rockets into the United States or carrying out raids, or if Canada was doing the same, we would certainly retaliate. And Israel has no alternative but to retaliate. And also, Iran, basically, they're admitting now, by Iran attempting to tie Hezbollah into this deal, confirms what most of us have thought over the years, that Iran controls Hezbollah. Now, I know for a fact, I can say this, that Hezbollah has many agents here in the United States. Hezbollah is probably the largest and most effective state-sponsored terrorist organization in the world. And for Israel not to be able to defend itself, to me, is wrong. Now, I know the president wants to wrap up the deal, and maybe Israel's standing in the way by not agreeing to this, but Israel can't sign a death sentence. I mean, that's can't agree to its own death sentence here. So, to me, if Iran is so serious about Hezbollah, they should stop Hezbollah and say and there will be no more attacks. If there are attacks, Israel has to have the right to respond. I mean, it has to be able to defend itself. I also think that they have to keep troops in Lebanon as a security blanket for now. Now, if 6 months or a year, 2 years go by and there's no attacks, then obviously they can begin a withdrawal if they feel it's in their national interest. But based on this till now, listen, the last thing in the world Israel wants is to be in Lebanon. The last thing they want to do is be in a war with Lebanon. There's nothing in it for them at all, other than to defend themselves against the attacks from and it's not Lebanon, it's Hezbollah operating out of Lebanon.
Fair enough. The president celebrating his 80th birthday, a joyous occasion for America. I really do believe that Mr. Trump will go down as the greatest president ever in American history. But I'm on the fence, Congressman, about the UFC fight on the South Lawn of the White House. What's your perspective on it? And there's a growing controversy, as you know. One of the fighters, when he won, said that former First Lady Michelle Obama is, his words, a man. Is this? I mean, I'm not paying that much attention to that. Is that much ado about nothing? But your opinion on that? And the UFC on the South Lawn of the White House. I mean, I'd rather have the UFC than have the transgender community flashing us with their boobs. But anyway, go ahead, Congressman.
Yeah, no, what that fighter said was totally wrong. It was disgraceful. You should not have done it. I don't think we should pay attention to it. We should condemn it, say it's wrong, and that's it, and go on. It was one guy. It's bad enough if you have these views. Don't be using somebody else's event to exploit your views or explain your or try to sell your weird perspective on life. So he did was totally wrong. As far as UFC, I actually have a bit of a personal involvement. In 2019, for the first time as president, President Trump went to the UFC fights in Madison Square Garden. And he asked me and his two sons and I guess Congressman Kevin McCarthy and I to go with him. And it was a great night. I mean,
are those the photos that I see all over line on Congressman with you and the president sitting right there with each other?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now, okay. I'm not a UFC fan. I'm a boxing fan. UFC to me goes too far. Having said that, it's extremely popular. It has a large following in this country. And the president has, first of all, he's a real fan. I mean, I didn't know, there's only one fighter I knew of him. He worked out in the same gym that I did. So I was trying to endear myself to the president beforehand. I said, "Hey, Mr. President, this guy, he's in the same gym as I am." So he was impressed by that. Then the guy got knocked out in the first round. And the president looked at me as if to say, "Great friends you have," you know. So anyway, it was, but no, it was a great night. But he knew all the fighters. He knew what the strong points were, what the weak points were, who they fought, who they hadn't. So I used to be able to do that about boxing, but he was doing it with UFC, and Dana White was there that night also. I had the chance to meet him. So it was a great night. Also, there was a lot of famous fighters were there, like Roberto Duran came over to say hello to President Trump. I remember that. And he's just, again, a really a very, very wiry, strong-looking guy. I met him once before, but just seeing him there, there was two champs, Donald Trump and Roberto Duran. And then there was also the guy, what's his name, The Rock. He was a bad guy. He walked by, he wouldn't say hello to the president. I remember that. That was it. He wanted a jerk.
Wow.
But the crowd, I guess it's 19,900 or whatever the garden holds for boxing and wrestling and UFC. I would say 99.9% were cheering. Now, if any of you felt like booing, they probably would have felt it was a bad place to do it because they were so outnumbered. But that crowd was enthusiastically and rabidly for President Trump. So having it at the White House, listen, it's part of Americana. It's part of America. I mean, it's you got Frank Sinatra sing. I know that it was when Kennedy was president. He had boxing matches on in the inside. I guess on pay-per-view. Then it was. Like Floyd Patterson, Sonny Liston, people like that, and he'd invite people in to watch the fights. So to me, it's part of America. It's part of like the rough edge of America, but that's also part of our fighting spirit.
Last question, Congressman Peter King. Tell me how lucky the socialist Mamdani is. He's mayor for 6 months, and the Knicks do what they haven't done in 53 years and win the NBA championship. So we're 48 hours away from the big parade with Mamdani as the mayor.
Yeah, he certainly lucked out on this. He's going to get credit for this in a way like John Lindsay did when the Mets won in 1969, and that saved Lindsay's campaign. He was going down before that. I mean, that was probably as important as anything else in getting John Lindsay reelected as mayor. And I certainly didn't vote for him. But in any event, no, Mamdani's looked at. As far as the Knicks, I sort of had lost interest the last few years in the NBA after the whole thing with George Floyd, and the NBA was becoming so woke. But I tell you, I did get into watching the finals, and watching it, first of all, the fact that they had a police honor guard in the arena beforehand, to me, shows how far they've come. And the players themselves, each of these guys seems so classy and so genuine. And just the style they had, working together, the cohesion, and when they would fall so far behind, the way the coach was able to mix and match, to take guys out, put others in, never panic, no temper tantrums on the bench, nobody had their head down. And be honest, when you're losing by 29 points, and then in the finals you're losing by 15 points. I mean, the final game you're losing by 15 points. You figure, how many times can these guys come back? But the fact is, they did it, and it was a lot of New York fighting spirit was there. I think the celebrations have been great, except for those animals, those lunatics are out burning buses.
Absolute animals.
There's absolutely no. That to me is so disgraceful, so indefensible, so reprehensible. And, that's not New York style. Maybe other cities, but for the most part, I got, when the Mets won in '69, that didn't happen. All those times the Yankees won the World Series, as far as I'm concerned, they won it too many times because I was a Mets and a Brooklyn Dodger fan before that. But the fact is, we never had that in New York. I mean, when the Knicks won in 1969, we had back-to-back. We had the Jets winning the Super Bowl, the Mets winning the World Series, and the Knicks winning the NBA championship. There was no demonstrations. There was a lot of friendly celebrations, but nothing. There was no damage. There was nobody attacked. There was nobody ending up in the hospital. Nobody was attacking cops. Nobody was throwing bottles or climbing up telephone poles. None of that nonsense. So to me, these people are a disgrace to New York. I have nothing but hate them. They're terrible.
They're animals. Congressman King, thank you so much for joining us. Well regards to you, your wife, your family. Thank you so much.
And as always, Rosemary sends her love.
Yes, and I send it right back. Thank you very much, Congressman King. Look forward to chatting with you next Tuesday, as always. Folks, we see all your telephone calls. It's time for a break. When we come back, I'm going to my girl, Gracie, in Rockland County. Tell your husband, calm down. Don't get upset, Gracie. You're my people. That's what you are. We are coming right back.
Yes! Yes! A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. Ooh, ooh, and clicks. For kids who love to save the day, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And the Tunnel to Towers Foundation final thoughts of the day. I'm looking at my Twitter at my ex in LA Air says I just left the hair salon with a lollipop. So I'm going to Gracie on line 3, Rockland County. Gracie, absolutely. I'm not joking you, Gracie. I left the doctor's office. I was not leaving without my lollipop, the dermatologist, after I got a steroid shot to the face in different spots. But Gracie, the needles are so small, I almost didn't feel it. But tell me, Gracie, before you go on with your point, am I a big baby because I demanded my lollipop?
No, not at all. You needed something. You were really stressed out, and that little bit of sugar balanced you.
So, Gracie, why were the 3 women laughing at me? The doctor, the nurse, and Marilyn. Marilyn thought it was the funniest thing she ever saw in her life.
Well, I'm your adopted mother, and I don't think it's funny, and they shouldn't have laughed at you. You needed that for stress relief. And
I was there when Marilyn delivered our children, right?
Right. And you didn't laugh.
I didn't laugh. Even though Gracie... because I have a large neck from when I played football, my shirts are custom made. And one of those pains hit Marilyn when our daughter was about to be delivered, and she grabbed me so hard she ripped my custom made shirt. This is 30 years ago. She doesn't like me to tell the story. But anyway, Gracie, young lady, what's on your mind today?
Okay, what's on my mind is the thing about Michelle. That's just a smoke screen. Listen, don't waste my time. Stop reporting about it, you evil media. It's all right to call Trump a homophobe, a Nazi, or this or that, but they hone on the stories that will just criticize Trump. I don't want to talk to people about that. There's an issue, I want to talk about issues. The gasoline is going down, the stock market is going up, and those 2 things are good. Now, as far as Iran, look, things don't sound perfect. It'd be wonderful if I make a snap our fingers and it'd be perfect. But these people are crazy in Iran, all right? They're more crazy than China and Russia. They want to die. I'm worried about my grandchildren. We have to do what we have to do to get the bombs away from them. They are dangerous. What do people not understand? And the people that call you, the dummies, they bring up things that are not relevant. Just ask them. Stick to the point. The point being, what don't you like about Trump? Give me the exact reason and not stupid words, because that's all they all are, is stupid. And even the news reports are stupid. For example...
But wait, Gracie, but help me. But Gracie, help me. The story about Michelle Obama, why won't it go away? I mean, she's the mother of 2 girls. I mean, how can anybody say with a straight face that she's a man?
Of course, it's ridiculous, but if the reporters didn't report it and keep reporting it, it would go away. That's my point. With things with Kennedy, I'm going to use that for example. That they didn't report it. When Roosevelt was crippled in the wheelchair, they didn't report it. Nowadays, the reporters, because they don't like Trump, they report everything. And even on WABC, that I get mad at some of the news reports that I hear. If you get my drift.
I got your drift, Gracie.
Now, I don't know how to use the computer to give my piece of my mind to the boss. But believe me, no, I love him.
Well,
I love
well,
John.
believe me, Gracie, the boss is aware of everything at all times. Either one of them. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but Mrs. Catsimatidis is always listening from the top of the hour, from this show starts until the moment I say goodbye, I guess because she's the one that discovered me, if you will. I'm going to see her husband in just a matter of hours at an event with Governor Patterson in the morning. So thank you, Gracie. Folks, born from the tragedy of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been honoring America's heroes ever since. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org. T2T.org. I'm back at midnight.
Thanks for listening to The Dominic Carter Show. You can hear The Dominic Carter Show weekdays at 3 p.m. and Monday through Thursday at midnight and Sunday starting at 11 p.m. on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?